All right, I'm Jeff Anderson, and this is Mike Finnegan. We are the attorneys for the survivors involved in the Archdiocese of St. Paul, Minneapolis bankruptcy, and we have to really react to this amended plan, a reorganization, and the promotion of it by the Archbishop and the Archdiocese. This is a sham. It is deficient, and it's misleading, and so we really have to call it out for what it is. Number one, they claim to be adding all this money to truly compensate the survivors. These are the ones that said they would pledge to be transparent and accountable. This plan is not transparent, and it certainly is not accountable. Number one, it's not transparent because they claim to be putting in $13 million of Archdiocese assets to this plan. $13 million. The truth is, they have assets that exceed $1.7 billion. That is 1% of their actual assets, their actual ability to pay. That's not transparency. That's not accountability. 1%. This plan also, when you look at it and break it down for the over 400 survivors, it comes up to be, in the average, less than 1/3 of the amounts compensated other survivors in similar circumstances. Less than 1/3 of all the other cases where there was a bankruptcy and a window with, like we have in Minnesota, where the average settlements in those cases were over $1 million. In all other cases, and in this case is less than $300,000. And so in the original plan, this red represents what they originally proposed. This new plan right here brings them up to this point in time. And when you look at this point in this plan compared to all the others, that is the amount of the deficiency. That's not fair, and that is not transparent, and that is not accountable. That is shameful. This is the same Archdiocese that made the choice to hide the truth about who the offenders were and where they were from the communities for decades. And it's now the same Archdiocese that is hiding the truth about their ability to pay and their ability to count and their ability to be transparent with the survivors and with the community. And so it has to be called out for what it is. It's a sham, and it's a scam, it's a lie, it's misleading, and it's deceptive, and it's sad. It's time for truth, it's time for transparency, it's time for accountability, and what they just put forward to the public and to the survivors and to the court is none of those things. The other thing that is evident is, from the start, the Archdiocese has made a pledge to the survivors. And they pledged to put the survivors first. But what they've done here in this plan is put the Archdiocese first. And put the assets of the Archdiocese first by hiding and protecting them. Valuating the high schools and the cathedral at zero, when we know the high schools and the cathedral have value. They also, the plan also, instead of putting the survivors first, puts the Archdiocese first and the insurance companies second. And then the survivors last in line. Because this plan that they've now put in adds out of Archdiocese money $100,000. $100,000 out of $1.7 billion, and the rest comes from insurance. And the insurance that is being added to this lets the insurance companies off the hook. And they've made a deal with the insurance companies to let them off the hook. Because the insurance that is available to the Archdiocese to pay these claims fairly and reasonably is also over $1 billion. This plan adds something like, what is it, 33 million?
It's 60 million.
Adds about 60 million. In other words, there's 1 billion available in insurance, and they're coming up with 60 million, coming up short. And so the truth is, this is not right. This cannot stand and should not stand. And on behalf of the survivors with whom we spoken and working, it is a time for truth. It is time for transparency, and it's time for them to be held to account in a way they've continued to refuse. And that is sad.